So here's the process that's going to change the way you do business. Our platform is executed from a mobile device. It hits our data processing center, which is accessible from the web, and then your information gets exported anywhere you want it to go. So any cloud-based system, any proprietary server, any internal server, we can even do Facebook, Twitter, and email notifications. When we export it, we can export your data in any format, including PDF, Word, Excel, and HTML. So if you have a back-end database, we can actually send the information to that back-end database to be automatically sorted and filed according to your internal management system that you may be using now. So as I said, this is your old process. The trouble with this process is now we have several copies of uncontrolled documents, and everybody's working from a different copy. Because as corrective actions are completed and signed off, we have all of these uncontrolled documents that are out there in the field or filed that don't have your signature. So which copy is the real copy? Here's your new process with Safeworker Mobile. You go from the field, fill out the form data goes to our processing cloud, and then the notifications and information gets distributed instantaneously to predestined destinations. They go to people in the field that require corrective action, and they go to you in the office so that you can see what's happening in real time. So I'm going to do some demonstrations for you. What's one of the most common safety forms used today in residential construction or other industries?
Hazard assessment.
Hazard assessment. Thanks, Mike. So let's take a look at a hazard assessment. One of the things that we've done is we have successfully incorporated a multitude of safety forms into this platform that are going to be instantaneously accessible by you if you're part of the pilot project. So I'm going to do a field level hazard assessment, which nobody likes doing. The first thing that we built into this form was a GPS stamp. So as your crew shows up to the job site and begins their hazard assessment, we time stamp it and we location stamp it. So you know that that form was filled out at that time, at that location. We can preload your sites, or you can just have a form field that you can free type into. I'm just going to say this is Canyon Park. You can load your employee database into it. So let's say we've got Ben Johnson is the employee conducting the hazard assessment. You'll notice that Ben's information has now been inserted into these other fields because we already have it in the back end. I'm going to explain how that works just in a bit here. How many people have used Siri? Just show of hands. Let me show you how it works. So I'm going to, let's say Hulk Hogan's our site supervisor. Nobody's going to mess with him. And we want to do our crew list. Mike, James, Grant, Nolan. Done. Now we're going to determine where our muster point is on the street by the company truck. Now what we can do is we can take a photo, or we can draw on a blank canvas of our muster point. So I'm going to draw on a blank canvas. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a little intersection here. Here's our work site on the corner. Here's our company vehicle. Here's where we're working. Here's our muster point. Here's north. Done. We're going to identify our first aiders. And we're going to answer some simple questions. So we've got drop downs. We have text fields. We have text boxes. This is a yes or no. So is the fire extinguisher readily available? Yes. Is the first aid kit available? Yes. Spill kit and eye wash? You bet. Because we're all safety conscious and we have these things available. Now, we can standardize for your industry the drop downs for your job tasks, your hazards, and your corrective actions. So we have some sample information here. Let's say we're going to be loading and packing material. and we're going to be framing and standing walls. Now we're going to take a photo of the work area. Smile. There we go. We're going to use it. Now we can draw on this photo. There's Mike. So we can take a photo of our job site, or we can bring it in from our files, and we can draw on it and make any notes that we want. Is the work area clean? Is it identified? Now we've got some hazards. What are some hazards to framing and standing walls? Well, we've got housekeeping, and let's say today is adverse weather conditions because it's cold. What are our controls? Well, we're going to clean up the site before work begins, and we're going to review the FLHA, and if we don't have something on there that we need, we can just type in the other field. Then we go through our ergonomic hazards. So do we have any ergonomic hazards? Well, absolutely. Maybe we've got a lift that's too heavy or awkward, and our control is going to be use mechanical assistance, and we'll move on. Do we have any access and egress hazards? If we don't, we just move on. Do we have any overhead hazards? Again, we can pre-populate this and customize it however it works for your business. So it's okay, well, maybe we have some overhead power lines and we're going to inform the workers at the toolbox meeting. Is a lift study required? No, we're not doing a lift. Do we have any electrical hazards? No. So we're going to move on to our personal protective equipment required on this site, and we just select it. Hard hat, safety glasses, steel-toed boots, hearing protection, and work gloves. We can make any assessor notes. The weather's cold and wind is blowing. The workers are putting up hoarding to ensure that the area is warm. Done. Are we reviewed with the crew, or are we reviewing it with another contractor? If so, we'll put it in there. We're going to capture my signature as a supervisor, and we're going to forward this report to somebody maybe that requires it. So, who would like to volunteer their email? Who's got their email with them right now? Angie? Okay. So eo@chbalethbridge.com. Next, we've got an area here for the signature, which I'll show you in a bit. Here's where the magic happens. This report has now been formatted, filed, sorted, and distributed to everybody that needs to have it. And it's now in your server or in our cloud system, and it can be reviewed by management at this time. So how long does it take for your field hazard assessments to come to you from the field? A day? A week? A month? Well, I just got an email. There's my hazard assessment. So here it is. So we have some interesting information on here. I've told this form to tell me some information of when it was submitted, by whom, at what location. Notice my drawing is in there. We have all the information pertinent to the job or to the work that we're performing. We have our picture already in the report, and we see my signature. Now, one of the issues that we're going to have is management needs to sign off on this report. So what I've told this form to do is also to export to Dropbox. So I use a program called iAnnotate. So I'm going to open up my Dropbox, and I'm going to go into my apps folder, Piranha Forms, submissions, and I'm going to go into my field level hazard assessment. And it actually, if you notice, it says modified 1 minute ago. I'm going to pull that up. There it is. So now I'm going to open it in iAnnotate. By the way, you can go straight to iAnnotate and open it up in there, but I'm just showing you how it works with Dropbox. Okay, so management needs to sign off on this report. So I'm going to pull out my pen. I'm going to sign it. Done. I'm going to put a timestamp on it. Done. And I'm going to sync the changes. So now what we're working with is a single document that is now available to each and every person that needs it, and it has now been updated in real time in the cloud. So your signature and your timestamp are on this document. So I'm going to show you just a really cool, interesting feature real quick. I'm going to click on that and say, hey, where was my crew when they filled out this hazard assessment? Right here. You can also go into the backend system, which I'll show you, and track where your crews have been conducting hazard assessments and at which time.